I'm here to give a movie review of Udta Punjab. I saw it over the weekend and it was awesome, I'll tell you that. So if you haven't seen the movie, I think you should see the movie. This movie review is going to be spoiler free, but I still think you should watch the movie before you see this because even when you're not saying something, you're still saying something. Does that make sense? Me personally, I don't like to watch movie reviews of movies I haven't seen, but that's just me. So I've been continuing to watch movies and now I've seen 22 Bollywood movies from this year. And they are Airlift in theaters, Alia, Fan in theaters, Kpoor, Gayal once again, Kapoor and Sons, Ki and Ka, Kakule Hum 3, Kakule Hum 3, Love Games, Masi Zade, Nirja, Nil Batista Nada, Walking Handsome in theaters, Sala Kadus, Sanam Ray, Sanam Terikasan, Teen in theaters, Dera Sawar, Dera Bin Laden, Traffic, Udta Punjab in theaters, and Wazir. 23. I just saw Santa Banta. Yeah. So 23 movies this year, and I'm gonna talk about Udta Punjab. The story is basically about 4 people who are all connected through drugs, and that's all I give about that. If you watch the movie, you'll get to know more about their characters. At the beginning of the movie, it had 2 disclaimers. First one, so long. I don't know if you read that whole disclaimer. I didn't, but I definitely scanned it to get the point of it, and I felt maybe the movie had so much pressure about it, about how bad it was going to be and how it's going to be a bad depiction of people or groups of people. So that's why I had to put that disclaimer, and then it still had the general disclaimer after that. And so, for such a big disclaimer, I personally don't think the movie glamorizes drugs. It doesn't to me. Drugs in this movie look bad. As I said in Jade Gaganjal trailer review, I said like Prakash wants to teach something to people. I feel like he's preaching to people, and he kind of does it in a boring way. For me, I personally think this movie is trying to teach you. It's trying to preach to you. It's trying to educate you on drugs. It's basically like a Dear Education class, and so I feel like you can probably show it to kids, except for some of the things that's in it. You probably can't show the kids because in no way to me does drugs look good in this movie that it needed 2 disclaimers. It doesn't. To me, it felt like even if there's a drug epidemic in Punjab, then this is a movie that they should see, hopefully to deter them from doing drugs. Even lines and some of the voiceovers, they would say things like, drugs doesn't only affect the individual, it affects the family. There's a scene in the movie in which Shahid Kapoor is put into jail with some others. He's there and he's scared. And he has 2 boys in there start rapping his own song. And the song's about how everybody in the family is on drugs. The sister's on drugs, the uncle's on drugs, the father's on drugs. And they're like, we first heard you in 8th grade. And one says, the first time I shut up, I saw your face. And then there's another person in jail, oh man, and he throws a shoe at him. He's like, shut up. You're following him? You killed your mother. And it's kind of like propaganda. It's a sappy moment. In some movies, this wouldn't work. But for me, it really worked. It had an impact. I like that scene. Right with that moment, Shahid Kapoor is at the jail bars. And so, inside the jail cell is dark. And outside, there's light coming in through the bars from outside. So this side of his face is lighted. And right then and there, Shahid Kapoor is acting with one side of his face. He's acting with this side. And it is amazing. And also another thing I love, I talk about the acting later. Another thing I loved about this movie is I love the way he chose to do like his close-up angles. And I love the way he played with the light. I love the way he did shadows. It's really good to me. Then also, the close-ups are good. I like the angles he took with his close-ups and stuff. I just thought the director did a great job with his shots, and I like that a lot. And the acting is so good in this movie. Shahid Kapoor is so good in this movie. I'll be honest, when I first started watching Bollywood, when I saw Shahid Kapoor films, and he was this chocolate boy, I didn't really care for Shahid Kapoor. And then when Shahid Kapoor started doing the more serious roles, that's when I noticed, and I was like, wow, Shahid Kapoor is really good. And when I started loving him more in serious roles, that's when I started also appreciating him in his funny, romantic comedy roles as well, because even though Shandar is an awful movie, I liked him in that movie as well. Shahid Kapoor, he has 2 things that are not working for him in terms of this role. Number 1, he has a cute face. He has a cute baby face. He's adorable. You can't help it. He has a young looking face, and he's even old and he still looks young. And then 2, he has more like a high-pitched voice. And so for him to come off as this rocker, this cool bad rocker, I believed it, and I thought he did a great job. Alia Bhatt was fantastic. I said to you in my Kapoor and Sons review that if she does a great job in this, I'm gonna have to say I love Alia Bhatt, and I'm gonna say I love Alia Bhatt. She was fantastic. Later on in the movie, I was like, wait up, Alia Bhatt doesn't have that many scenes. That's what I was wondering. But then no, I think the thing is, a lot of her scenes have silence. And let me tell you, that girl is acting through her silence as well. The eyes can do so much, and her acting was amazing. The intensity in the eyes, the way she had to put two emotions in the eyes, and she did a good job. She had to show fear, and she had to show strength. She had to show. I can't. I want to say something else, but I feel like I'll be giving with the movie. But to me, she did a great job. She had a monologue in this movie, and when she said her lines, I was crying. I was believing it. She was fantastic. Kareena Kapoor and Diljit Dosanjh both did a great job. When you saw the trailer, the movie looks over the top. It looks Bollywood-esque. It looks grand. But when you actually see the movie, or when I saw the movie, it's like everyone was kind of acting normal. Do you get what I mean by normal? No one's doing their lines like this. But how can we do this? They're more like, but how can we do this? It's more natural. Even Kareena Kapoor can put it on. If she needs to put on that Bollywood acting, she can do it. But then I love the way she also scaled it down for this movie. Everybody did a great job in terms of acting. And then even in terms of the costumes, the wardrobe. Have you ever seen like village movies or they're regular people movies, but they look like they're wearing expensive clothes, or the clothes just look really nice, or it looks like the movie had a budget? This movie I bet had a budget, but the person decided to just make them look normal. Even the fact that Alia Bhatt and Kareena Kapoor looked like they weren't even really wearing makeup. It was very simple. And I like that. Even the movie she did with Imran Khan. At parts of the movie she's in the village, but in the village she still looks stressed up. Even in the village she looks like she's wearing makeup. In this movie she's a doctor, but she still keeps it simplistic. And so I thought the costume director did a great job of not overdoing it. Even that aspect I loved it. It just made it seem more like real life, realistic, rather than this is a movie. Because even in Bollywood movies, even when they wake up, they're wearing makeup. It's like, oh, I just woke up like this. Yeah. Throughout this whole movie, it felt like Alia Bhatt wasn't wearing any makeup, and I thought that was so brave and confident of her to actually show that. Sometimes when stars aren't wearing their makeup, that's when you just see their true natural beauty. And I was like, oh wow, I'm seeing Alia Bhatt's true natural beauty, and that was lovely to see. The dialogue is great. The writing is really good in this movie to me. There are so many lines and so many scenes in this movie that you might as well just rewatch the whole movie, because ain't no point in just watching scenes. Just go ahead and rewatch the movie, and it really did make me want to rewatch the whole movie. Let's go on to the music. When I tell you the soundtrack is great in this movie, I'm not lying. The soundtrack is great in this movie. The music director did what he needed to do for this movie. He gave interesting music, he gave good music, he gave catchy music, he gave addictive music, and yet it also really went towards the movie. It felt like the music went along with the movie, rather than some songs seems like they can go in any movie. Does that make sense? Oh, I'm sorry. The soundtrack to me played like an episode of Intervention. You've got your Tita Ve, you got your Udta Punjab, which is about the drug culture, really into the life. You're snorting the drugs, you're doing the drugs, you're living it up. I don't want to like Tita Ve because I still don't think the lyrics are the best songs to go around singing. But like the drugs, that song is darn near addictive. I'm telling you, that song is so good. And then you've got your Ikakudi, which is when you're at your lowest moments and you're feeling lost and you feel like you need to give it up, and then you go through the process and you get that intervention. You have to reach it. You have the rehab center trying to find yourself. You're lost. And then song at the end, which I don't even know the name of, and the first time I heard it, I stayed till the end of the movie. I stayed until all the credits rolled, y'all. And that song, in the chorus it said, let's live, let's celebrate. And I believe the chorus has the word Nach in it. And that song is like the victory song. That's the end. That's when you've made it. And even when that song was playing, I was crying. The song has religious tones with it as well, but the song was so inspiring and uplifting. The the songs are good, y'all. The songs are good, and the songs did what they needed to do. Oh my God, it was so good. Let me tell you, this in the movie, this for Ikakudi, and he starts singing that song at the wrong moment. It's like a Bollywood wrong moment kind of thing. And you're like, really, we're going to start singing now? But let me tell you, when he was singing and he went up, and it sounded so beautiful, I actually closed my eyes and went, yeah. I went like that. It was beautiful. And then the scene continues. Knock on the door, if you know what I'm talking about. And it just brought me back to sleep. But the fact that that song was so good that it actually took me out of the actual scene, I was like, it was good. And then they played it. And oh, I was crying with it. And this was the first time I saw you this. Even though I've been listening to music other than Tita Bay, I haven't looked up any of the other song translations. And so it was good to see the translations with the songs. And the lyrics were beautiful as well. That was one of the best soundtracks so far I've heard this year. So let me talk about my experience. I went to see this movie on Saturday at 3:45. I stayed like this the entire movie. I was so captivated. I was reading it all, and I was next to the wall. At parts, I was on the wall. I was like this. I was like, no, I was so enjoying this movie, y'all. It was so good. And the other thing, I went to this movie, and there were 12 other people in this movie in 4 different groups. One group had a 5-year-old boy. Another group had 2 young girls, either 7 and 8 or 8 and 9. This is me guessing the ages. And my question was like, did y'all not see the trailer? Do you guys not know what this movie is about? Why do you guys have your children here? And this is not even like the 3-4-year-olds who are like just walk around the theater, who are on their tablets, who are on the phone. They're not really paying attention. These kids are paying attention. And so I just thought, like, why did you bring your children to this movie? I didn't get it. And then when Shahid started singing Coke Cock, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. But when he started singing that song, Coke Cock, Coke Cock, Coke Cock, Coke Cock, I was dying. That is so funny. That's a funny scene to me. I'm sorry. But why are your children here? Why do you want them to learn that song? But even so, I will tell you this. The movie definitely did not glamorize drugs. And so you could actually maybe say to your child, you see, you shouldn't do drugs. You see what could happen? You see, you shouldn't follow celebrities or singers who do drugs, who are part of that drug culture. And so maybe you can teach them that, but still, they're too young, y'all. That maybe for a 12-year-old, maybe for a 13-year-old, but not them, y'all. They're not ready for that. I really expected something more gory or gross or adult. But other than some vomit and a few curse words, the movie is really overall clean. Other than some of the themes of the movie. Because, yeah, it does deal with some serious adult issues. Yeah, it does. It has its drugs and it has other things as well. But even so, even with Alia Bhatt, even the way they picturize that in an American film, or even in sometimes some other Bollywood films, it could look a whole lot more graphic. And I felt they dealt with it in a nice way. Even the whole movie, they dealt in it in a way in which you could see it. They explained everything, but it really wasn't that visually graphic. There weren't a lot of things other than the vomit, in which I had to turn my face away, in which I had to do this, in which I go, ooh, I didn't expect that. Even the parts with blood, there's a scene in which a guy's on the floor and there's blood rushing out his head, but there's towels on the floor. The towels with like the divots in it, and the blood is going through the cracks in the towels. And I'm just thinking, oh, that looks really beautiful. I'm sick. But do you get what I'm saying? It was like, even when the blood was coming, it looked just really, it wasn't beautiful. It's not the word, but it wasn't off-putting. It wasn't gross. I like the way I kind of like the way they did it. I like the way they showed it in this movie. Because compared to a regular masala film with more revealing clothes, some sexually suggestive lines and scenes, and a lot more violence, this movie was pretty clean. I do know that this movie was cut and the scenes were taken out. I don't know how much. But everything that was shown, I thought they showed just enough for you to get the movie and really like the movie. I laughed. I cried. I felt like I learned something. Not even learned something, it touched me. And that's something when a film not just goes here or goes here, but it actually goes here. That's another level, y'all. And it did it. It really did it. The movie was perfect. And so I had to give it a 5 out of 5. I was trying to think if this was better than Kapoor and Sons, but no, I think it's Kapoor and Sons and then Udta Punjab. And then I still have Rocky Handsome. So those are my 3 favorite films of the year so far. Yes. When I saw the movie, I actually thought about, ooh, Mary John would be a good name for a child. Like, I could name my child Mary John. And I put it as one word, even though I know it's 2 words. Yeah. You know, you watch too many Indian movies when you want to name your child an Indian name, though it's not even an Indian name. Also like Sajana. And this is going to sound stupid. I know you've heard the word Sajan, and then you've got Johnny Man. I actually thought about Sajana Man. Mary John. Mary John, come here. Mary John, no. I love you, Mary John. I think it's cute. Anyway, I'm going to end it. Bye.